You have a different vehicle and you decide you want to put some mud flaps on it to protect it. And you think, well, I'll just go out and order a set of mud flaps and put them on. And I've always done that, and I've always gone with high quality mud flaps, usually the WeatherTech mud flaps. And so off I went to get some mud flaps, and lo and behold, I couldn't find any for the vehicle I got. Recently got a really great deal on a used 2024 Lincoln Navigator to replace our Ford Expedition before we start going on more trips this summer. And I was going to put mud flaps on and search and search and search, and finally discovered that the WeatherTech only makes mud flaps for the Expedition, which has the same front fender configuration as the Navigator, but the Navigator does not have any WeatherTech mud flaps for the back. I was stuck, but I was told on the WeatherTech site they don't have any for the Lincoln either. So with more research, I found out and actually saw a video where somebody had tried this. You can put the Expedition mud flaps on the front of the Navigator, and that's what we're going to try to do today. I've got that washed up around that area. We're going to go through the steps and put this on and see how well it fits. So let's give it a shot. By the way, my name is Fred and you are watching Make This Your Project. Thanks for checking in. What I like about the WeatherTech no drill mud flaps is, first of all, the no drill part of this, because they're all custom made for vehicles. And that's part of the problem I'm having here with the rear side. They don't make a custom rear mud flap for this vehicle. But for the mud flaps that are available, this makes it really fast and easy to put on and doesn't do any damage to the vehicle installing it. I have actually in the past on some older vehicles used some generic mud flaps, and oftentimes they require a little bit of drilling to get them installed, or they've got some clips that don't fit really well if they are a no drill. And the WeatherTech has a much better system. I've got everything I need here to install this mud flap, including a cat to give me a hand when I need it. I've got some slip solution, which is just a few drops of dish soap in some warm water in a spray bottle, and some alcohol to prep this area for a little plastic film guard that'll go on here to protect this painted area from rubbing from the mud flap. Mud flap is laid out here, the correct one for this side of the vehicle. It'll mount up in here. I have pry tool to get those pins out, a very short stubby Phillips screwdriver that I'll need, the wrench they provide, the hex wrench to tighten up that lock up here, and the hardware pack for this side, which is a couple of U-clips on here for the screws and a couple of washers. With everything laid out, let's get rolling on getting this prepared. The first thing you need to do to put that film on is you need to take some alcohol and make sure there is no oil or grease or any other kind of film on here. Now this vehicle I don't think has any on here. I don't even think it has a lot of wax at this point. I've got to get it all waxed up before we head out on our trip. But at any rate, I am wiping this off. And you can see I did get some material when I did that. Make sure this is perfectly clean. Alcohol is a good way to do that. And there's no residue. I can feel it's pretty dry. So there isn't really anything slippery on there. With that taken care of, it's now time to remove these two clips, these two pins, pop-in pins. That's pretty easy to do. I got a little pry tool here. Take that out. These could be reused if they had to be, but not for mounting that flap. And we need to get this piece out of the way. And I'm going to check down in here now to make sure where this mounts, that this area is clean as well. I'm going to give that a quick wipe with some alcohol, although nothing really needs to stick to that, but it's nice to make sure it's good and clean. I've got the strip for the right-hand side that I'm working on over here, the passenger side removed from the backing. It's kind of tricky to do. It's really stuck down on there. What you do is you wet this area that is to be applied with this slip solution. It's that soapy solution that helps it stick, and then you spray the adhesive side of the protector. Get that wet. And it gets it on your fingers, what you need to do, and that gives you the opportunity to position this. And I lined this up before with the flap and checked, and it starts at the bottom here to come out with the right height. So that's what I'm doing. I'm starting at the bottom, and I'm lining this up along the side. Bring it up just a little bit so it doesn't go over that edge. Get this lined up here. Not overwork it, because it just keeps sliding on you, and let that dry a little bit so I can get the air bubbles out of it. And hold it in place here and get the bubbles out of it right now with my finger. Just work those out while I keep it from sliding. Whoops. This is a somewhat delicate operation, believe it or not. And I can feel it starting to set up now a little bit. That's good. Remember, this gets covered up anyway with the mud flap, but it just adds a little bit extra protection on that painted surface. So I'm going to let that dry thoroughly now before we go on to the next step. You notice, since I'm working on this side, I've got the wheel turned out too, so I've got really good access to this spot. The clips that you use, these U-clips, are going to slide over this little flange piece here. And this is aluminum, of course, on this vehicle. These are steel. Could be some reaction there. Obviously, we're not going to have any rust on this aluminum from the moisture like you would on steel. But I'd like to just protect that paint anyway. So I cut a strip of black duct tape. I'm going to stick that right over that flange. I know where the holes are. I can mark those with my finger. I'll just poke those quickly with the screwdriver so I know where to line up. Now I can slide my clips on. Get this up out of the way. Put the first clip in. I got the hole lined up nicely. Slide that down. Grab the second clip, put that on the back side here. Now I need to get this piece put back in place. Work that in along the edge here. Pushed away, get that pop back in where it belongs. And we have this piece up against here where we need it. With this all back in place, I can now set the fender in place with one of the screws and a flat washer. Make contact with that threaded portion of the U-clip. Get this screw started in. Make sure my clip for inside the fender is out of the way, so this goes back. Grab the other screw and washer. Get that started. You can see where it's a lot easier if you've got a short screwdriver. I'm not going to snug these down tight just yet. I want to make sure I get everything adjusted where I need it before I do that. And now comes the magic part with one of these. I'm going to get this wrench out of the bag. I've only got 500,000 hex keys in bags and in drawers and the fold-out style, but what the heck, they brought me this, so Now the key is you lock this clip into place. It spins into place, catches on this fender lip, and you tighten that up. And with that you have a no drill installation. Holds this thing right in there. Getting it good and snug. And I've done a few of these and they've held up really well. Once that's in there, it holds up really snug. Now I can finish tightening these. I've got a cat on the back side of this tire, making sure that the tire has got some good scratch marks on it. And we have a mud flap installed. It's just that easy. The driver's side is done, nice and compact. And the passenger side. I'll keep looking for some decent flaps for the back. Everything I found so far is somewhat generic, not necessarily designed for a navigator, and those that say they require drilling, which I don't like, so I may go without flaps on the back. The reason I like to put flaps on the front is it keeps the debris out of the joints there for the step-ups, and if you can do that, it helps keep the step-ups working and not seize up in there. It saves wear and tear on the motor. So that's the biggest thing, and it keeps a lot of the debris off the side of the vehicle. And as you can see, they're pretty compact. They don't stick out very far. They're hardly noticed. I just need to get that trim blacking on here to shine those up so they repel water, and we will be in business. That second flap didn't take very long to install at all on the driver's side. It goes a lot quicker when you're not trying to make a video, and after you've already put one on, you just flow through the motions. That just took, I don't think, even 15 minutes to put that second flap on. So if you got everything laid out and a good idea how you're doing it, half an hour, 45 minutes, and you've got those flaps installed, and they look nice. And I couldn't ask for a better day to do this. It's February 14th, Valentine's Day, here in Wisconsin, and the sun is shining, there's no wind, and it's about 53 degrees out. Almost shirt sleeve weather for someone from Wisconsin. So if you enjoyed today's video, please click like, consider subscribing. When I do more videos like this, I've got some more vehicle restoration work to do and some indoor projects coming up, so please keep your eyes open for those. And I thank you for watching, and once again, take care, enjoy your projects.